Hello and thank you for joining the Monday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Osinbajo. Today on the program, Nigeria records lowest daily COVID-19 infection in 7 months as Lagos State seals 11 nightclubs, lounges and event centers. And later on the show, Boko Haram attacked military checkpoint on Maiduguri-Damaturu Highway, killed 3 soldiers as Borno State government uncovers fake IDPs in Maiduguri. I'll be hanging out with Gani Kaide Balogun and Wale Adeoye. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Gentlemen, it's International Women's Day and we want to celebrate with women on this auspicious day. GKB, what can we do with our mothers?
Happy Women's Day. Well, our mothers have been the pillar upon which we all rest, whether we like it or not. And as a father of girls as well, you want us to understand the dynamics of why women are so important. That's even they saying that it's better to have a daughter for your old age than a son. And just I keep praying for our women. They are stronger than they think, because normally this world will not be this world without the women.
Mr. Adeoye, the significance of this International Women's Day?
Well, is to recognize the importance of women in social, cultural, and political affairs. The need for us to empower them, the need for us to give them voices, the need for us to know that they are also equal to us, even though they may not have equal opportunities. So I think it's a global day that we all need to use to remind the role of women, in local and international affairs. Okay.
Let's also wish the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one of the ardent followers of Journalist Hangout, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, a happy 64th birthday. Many happy returns. Gentlemen, Prof is 64.
It doesn't look it. It looks more like a 50-year-old man, maybe because of the stature. But I wish him well. He has served this country meritoriously. There are some signature projects of this administration that can be attributed to him. And I'm not even talking about those he left, the legacies he left in Lagos, especially on the judiciary, and the timeline he gave for cases to be heard in Lagos High Courts. I think all said and done, Mr. Vice President, as the star boy, deserves all the accolades that we can give him.
A staggering CV.
Yeah,
right from his day as a professor of law at the University of Lagos. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. That means he has excelled academically, he has excelled professionally.
Yeah. And he's a very cool, calm, and a collected person. He's not acrimonious. And I think if you look at the presidents and vice presidents we have had, this is one of the best in terms of relationship between the president and the vice president. And I think he has a kind of a moral authority that charms you whenever you meet him. And I think he has been able to keep his head above, a certain level that demands and commands public respect, in spite of the intricate cobwebs of intrigues.
All the banana peels.
His words, his choice of words, you just need to commend him. Even when the president is not around, he holds for without showing any desperation to upturn the table.
He's also a pastor.
A pastor.
That means he's a shepherd.
It's noteworthy that their camp that they used to do as a vice president, he can't afford to miss it. I've been there and they're telling people that, look, he has to go to camp. So that last Friday, he's always there. It's something that's, in spite of the very heavy schedule, still find time to pastor a church.
He has taken it in his strides. That's what I really like about the man. You know, a lot depends on the office of the vice president, even constitutionally, as head of the economic team.
A lot of delegated
and the president trusted him comprehensively. I don't want to use totally, comprehensively, to give him so much leeway to do stuff that he's done. He has delivered.
So, happy birthday, Prof. Now,
He's also a March person. So what can we say?
March.
Because you are born in March, you are born great. You are being born in March.
No, moving on now. Hope is on the horizon in Nigeria's COVID-19 situation. The country reported 195 new cases, the lowest daily infections since the 138 recorded on the 31st of August 2020. The vaccination plans are also going on smoothly as some personnel in the presidency, including the chief of staff to the president, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the presidential spokesman, Garba Shehu, received the jabs today. Let's share the story with you.
The more Nigerians that are vaccinated develop the herd immunity, which will keep our country safe and our people healthy.
I would like to say to all Nigerians, take this vaccine. It's for the good. With this vaccine, by the grace of God, before long, the whole country will be COVID-19 free.
Wow. DKB, let me start from you.
Well, two things you have to understand is that we've always think that it will get to a point that this thing will plateau out, that we are going to run into a system where things will be done at a level that we can live with it. Yeah. Nobody said that COVID-19 will go away completely. They said we got to a point that we can go back as much as possible to our normal lives.
That with the vaccine, you can contact it, but it won't do the maximum damage. It won't be bedridden or...
But don't forget, even without the vaccine, the mortality rate is still pretty low, less than 2%. So we have to factor that as well. So what this is doing is to now go into that little fatality level and cut into it. So as the thing moves around, I will develop herd immunity to get to a point that we have to understand that the vaccine is just an aspect of what we are required to do over time. One of them is we still have to use our masks, we still have to keep social distance, and we have to obey the laws of the land. Like the next story we are going to do now, about the event centers and people that were caught. It does not give us the leeway to break the law. The rules guarding the protocol are still there. Despite the fact that you've gotten the jab, as it were, you still have to keep a social distance, and you still have to wear your mask. That's what our people want them to know.
Wale, we can say we are flattening the curve somehow.
Yeah, I think due to so many factors, not just one factor. And flattening the curve, we also need to be a bit specific. For instance, in Lagos, I know there is a lot of campaign going on. There is a high level of consciousness, even though we are saying people don't obey the protocol. But when you go on the streets of Lagos, you still see, a lot of people using face masks. You go to public institutions, you see, people using sanitizers, and it's not like that in some other states. And then the model authority of the state governor, the Lagos state government has been quite effective in terms of, constant engagement of the public. The governor, the commissioner for information, the government officials, they have done a lot in terms of trying to educate the people. So I think in Lagos, what we have seen is a kind of, and there are a lot of non-state actors that are very active in terms of collaborating with the government, in terms of trying to educate people. So I think the level of awareness is so high, and that's why I'm not surprised that in Lagos, the curve is a bit going down. There are other factors we may not be able to explain, because even scientists are yet to have a kind of 100% knowledge about the nature and form of COVID-19. Maybe the weather, the current, the heat, maybe it also has an impact. Nobody can, say specifically about that, unless maybe you get scientists to do more investigation. But I think we don't need to relax. It's an ongoing thing. For the fact that we are flattening the curve does not mean that we have to go back, and go and sleep. We need to be more, because it's yet to go away. We don't know what may happen in the next few months ahead. So we need to be on guard.
This is like a gift to us, and getting the gift, we've not decided how we're going to distribute it. Yeah. And it's worrisome that when we're talking about distribution for just 3.9 million, and we are going to 80 million people in the next 2 years.
Let me say that, first of all, we need to commend the fact that the president and the vice president took the jab openly. But there are a lot of myths and superstition associated with the vaccine. People are saying it's not real, conspiracy theory, but we are seeing public officials coming forward openly to take the jab. So I think that's a very good thing. But in terms of distribution to the states, I think the conditions that was given by the health authorities, some states are yet to meet that criteria. Some are yet to submit the names of frontline health workers. Some are yet to submit the names of focal points. You know, some don't have health facilities in their isolation centers.
And some don't even believe there's...
Yeah, so I think this is why, you know, the health authority is saying that, look, you have to meet this criteria before we can. So I think I blame some of the states. Though some of them are also saying that they have submitted the names. They are throwing back, you know, the blame to that is the fault of the government, because they are yet to actually look at their data very well. But I think whatever is the case, we need to get it right so that the states, the vaccines can go to the states on time.
It's unfortunate.
GKB, now we still have people in Lagos, in spite of the campaign and the success of the campaign in Lagos. Some people still think it's business as usual, and they've gone back to their businesses. So we don't blame them 100%. The economy is so bad and everything, but we're still talking about those sectors that are not too critical. That's, you know, you can afford to just halt that lifestyle right now. I'm talking about nightclubs, lounges, and event centers.
Yes, you are correct.
How experienced is it for anybody to go to nightclubs now, right now?
Well, people have said that if churches could reopen, why not nightclubs? That most of the time they serve the same level.
To observe social distance.
But to do that in a nightclub is very difficult, because we've told them before that there are certain things that you just have to stop. Going to club is one of them. Even the cinemas, especially the ones in my area, who are trying to do the alternate seating arrangements, have to close down because they realize it doesn't make sense. That they cannot really afford to run a business, because they still have to run it on generator, they still have to pay other bills. So it's best for the state government to, what they are doing now, I agree with. You have to make examples of people. Because Nigerians, we are very stubborn when it comes to obeying the law. We just assume that we are better than everybody else. And so, until and unless we make people pay for disobeying the law, other people will not follow. And there is no bigger target than those that belong to that particular class that can afford to go to lounges or nightclubs to do whatever they have to do. Because unless you make a particular example and make it stick, people will still believe, like you said, that they are above the law.
Now, while it's people, they've gone back to the weddings, event centers, birthday, elaborate birthdays, in spite of the fact that, you know, we have this, is this 50? Maximum you can have in a gathering.
50% of the capacity.
Yes. So event centers, they've gone back to business as usual, and people are partying. The
truth is that naturally people are not disciplined, especially in this part of the world. And the enforcement institutions are also very weak. He spoke about nightclubs and churches. In nightclubs, you go there to drink, you go there to dance, and then you have an all-night party. Or like churches where maybe a mosque, you spend 1 hour, 2 hours. And then, so anything can happen when you get drunk in a nightclub. You even forget you can't be drinking and then be using those masks, for instance, face masks. So the level of discipline here is very low. And I'm surprised that people still go. In fact, weekend, people just behave as if there's nothing like COVID-19. So the government needs to be more strict, needs to enforce the law so that people can comply, because it's all about safety. And something that if you contact it, you're also risking the lives of others. So I think the ball is on the court of the government, the law enforcement agencies, to be more proactive so that they can set good examples for other people to learn. You see what Lagos State government is doing now, closing down nightclubs, and I think that's a very good example. And we hope other states
must learn that they must obey the law. 50% can be enforced. It's a matter of removing chairs in such a manner to show that you cannot take more than this. And I've been to a party where they gave us, I don't know what do you call that thing, the thing they give you in the bank in the old days. Something. So you have a number. They said they're expecting 2,500 people.
What's this about, you know, especially people from the Southwest, about big parties? That we have to throw big parties. You have to show up. You have to
it's a way of life.
Call people, come and eat and everything. You can't streamline what you want to do. Marriages can be conducted in your sitting room.
I conducted in Zoom. It reminds me of an incident in the US where somebody wrote RSVP. And people are coming with 4, 5, 6 people. I said, no. But I asked you whether you are coming. And if you are coming alone, I didn't make provision for everybody else. We are here to get to that level. We are basically a very, very, very enjoyable people. We enjoy ourselves a lot.
Like shows.
We like, and we know we are the only people who know the meaning of life. You work hard and you play hard, and then you trust in God. That can all, of course, defend the reality that COVID has forced upon us. That we cannot keep on with the old ways without facing the consequences of what we face.
There seems to be uncertainty surrounding the vaccination in Kano, Osun, Delta, 8 others, you know, over health workers lists, as you mentioned earlier. What is wrong? How many health workers do we have in each of these states? Why can't we get that database? So we don't know how the number of nurses, the number of doctors that we have in one state. So what are we talking about there?
We don't keep, we have a very poor data collection.
And you pay those people salaries every month.
We don't need to wait for COVID-19 before you have data of frontline workers. You naturally need to have the number of nurses, the number of midwives, the number of doctors. But it's like because of COVID-19 vaccine.
You pay them.
Yes,
so
we are now going to start compiling the names.
You have the record of that.
You see, it's quite unfortunate. I expected the state to just press a button. And then the
print out,
you know, and then the data will appear in Abuja. So I think this also, it has exposed, you know, the level of backwardness of some of our institutions. I mean, I'm really surprised that just to compile names of medical frontline workers, then it's taking so many days.
And because they have to remove the ghost workers,
you know,
they have to take care of the padding that they've done. Because normally, like you said, you should know the number of doctors you need, number of doctors you have, and the shortfall. So that every year you can now say, okay, we need additional 400 doctors for XYZ. But you and I know that the figures it does not tally with the people on the field. And that's where the tragedy lies.
Okay, we have our first caller, I think Dele from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Are you there?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I strongly feel the government is not doing. Yeah, I'm here. I strongly feel the government is not doing enough. The government is talking with his mouth on both sides. Why do I say so? Why do I say so?
Go ahead, Jide.
Check out the inauguration that they did with the Agege Bridge. Check out the crowd that was there. I feel it is very uncalled for, and the government is not doing enough to curtail the spread in its own way when it inaugurates infrastructures like this. I feel when the government shows commitment and lead, that is when they can actually control people or tell people not to do what not.
Thank you, Jide. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, the state government that is on the vanguard of this campaign.
See them not leading by example.
Yes, see them having function, especially in Lagos State here.
Yeah, but I think we need to.
This man made mention of the Agege Bridge, the opening of Agege Bridge. We saw it on TV, and nobody kept social distancing there.
I think we we need to realize that a lot of things are wrong. You know, most of the time, what we say, what our leaders say, is different from what they do. You know, it's not just that kind of event that you see people lose their lose their sanity, you know, regarding COVID-19 protocol.
Even during the campaign.
The campaigns, elections, you just discover that it's as if you want to use you just want to use the face mask to meet the expectation of law, not realizing that it's for your own protection. So we still need to do a lot, because if you have a governor present in a particular place and there's people there don't even care about, and I think individuals should also be responsible to themselves. You know, it's about your life. You know, it's about the life of your children, your brothers and sisters. So even if people in power are not following the rules, as individuals, we must try as much as possible to be responsible. So personal responsibility comes in when we are talking about, COVID-19.
And GKB, we don't expect people to relax because of this vaccine. You know, it's not a foolproof that you can't contact or you can't spread COVID-19.
It's not 100%.
The only thing is that you can't
get sick.
You can't get sick.
Well, they never promised 100%. And even the vaccines are not, there are new strains of COVID-19 that are coming out in certain areas that people don't even know whether these vaccines will work against. So that is also the danger. That's why we keep telling people that the first thing we need to learn, like you said, was to be personally responsible. Once you've done that, you've done 50% of the work. When you are personally responsible for your own health, as well as possibly away from the crowd, wash your hands regularly, use your face mask. Number two, people must learn that even if you are protected, it doesn't mean the next man is. And they include your parents, include your friends, even children with pre-existing conditions that will hold on to you, and there's nothing they can do but suffer from the consequences. So we have to be personal. Once everybody decides on his own that I'm going to do this, not for me, for those that I love, they will take it from there. We can't do anything else but that.
Well, some people will argue with you. They will say that, look, that poverty is ravaging the country more than COVID-19. That they need to go out there to go and hustle. That, look, to observe the non-pharmaceutical protocol becomes a big deal. That they have to do their business, they have to survive. That in Nigeria now, the first thing is survival. That the hunger ravaging the land will not allow us to COVID-19 to supersede the poverty level.
Yeah, I think critically, if you look at it, looking for what to eat for survival should not mean that at the same time we are looking for what can kill us. And I think hustling to live is not contradictory to taking precautions. You can go out, ride your Okada because you want to survive. You can still put on your face mask. You can have sanitizer in your pocket. You can have in your car. So there's nothing you do that stops you from taking precautions. Instead that people are just looking for unnecessary excuse. So there's no justification for that, because once you know that this thing can kill, then you should not. And
people still argue over the existence of COVID-19.
Which is quite unfortunate. A country that is ruled by superstition, but we are in the age of science. So we need to see what is going on all over the world, that the whole world cannot just be lying, that this thing is real. We have seen people that are killed, we have seen government officials, we have seen lowly people, we have seen people, that are high. Lowly, armed, and defenseless people are victims. In America. So it's quite unfortunate that people still doubt. I pity such people that if you still think that there's nothing like COVID-19, it is real.
But the doubters are not limited to Nigerians. They're all over the world. People yesterday, somewhere in the US, people are burning masks as a symbol of protest. And I said, you may not affect you to have other people.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Benjamin from Italy. Thank you for joining us, Benjamin.
Good evening, sir.
Are you calling from Venice, Turin? Where are you calling from? In Italy?
No, I'm calling for Genoa, Italy.
Okay, in Italy. All right. Go ahead with your contribution, please.
My contribution is that I hear the other man in the right hand talking about it's our culture that we are literally partying in Western Nigeria, all over Nigeria and short. And it's very good. That is our culture, and it's very good. Because issue like 2 or 3 days ago, even Algeria, they show where Poland do their annual year festival. We are attended by 1,300 people. Before they enter there, they show their negative of COVID-19. So that is what I advise Nigerian government to do. Anybody that holds party, before you have to show your COVID-19 test and go ahead with your normal life. You can't change it. Happiness is a part of life. God bless you.
Thank you, Benjamin, all the way from Genoa in Italy. That means when you show, if we are tested and you have the results, or if you've taken your jab, you'll be given a kind of certificate, so you can go about your normal business. So if you want to travel, if you want to do anything, that should be a requirement.
But you and I know that so far, the number of vaccines available cannot go round
at all.
3.94 million.
For now.
So we have a challenge. You can't say because you've taken the jab, that gives you the immunity to not affect other people. You have to take care of your neighbors. And one of them is to ensure that they are not in danger due to your own carelessness. That's the point we are making.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this timeout. The best current affairs program, news and current affairs program, reaching you live from TVC News. It's Journalist Hangout. Gentlemen, I'm still with Wale Adeoye and Osiare Gani Kayode Balogun, GKB. So we're talking about after the frontline workers, after the essential workers, or what frontline health workers, how do we reach out to the states? Who are the next category of people that we're going to reach out to?
The same parameters that are used at the federal level are supposed to also be used at the state level.
How? Governor?
For
SSG.
the sake of symbolism. The top political people, maybe the first 4 people of the states. Then those on the front line. Then those who are old. And those who are basically in need of it immediately. That means those who are
old,
above 60. In most countries, 65. I don't know what they are doing in Nigeria, but most all over the world is normally 60 and above. Even with that, those who are already with pre-existing conditions are given preference because they are already suffering and they might likely go with it. So that's normally the parameters to use. But because the figure we have is so small, believe me, it's so insignificant, I think it's going to be very difficult to move beyond that. But that's why they are now doing what a friend of mine called the vaccine lottery. That you go online and you register, and if you are lucky.
And I gather that before we exhaust this 3.9 million, more will come in.
But knowing the Nigerian political elites penchant for grabbing everything, I guarantee you they can have all this. They will.
So, Wale, in other words, nobody should keep this to mark your constituency project or birthday.
Of course. And the
nobody
states,
should urge this.
Yes, the states that are yet to meet the criteria, like Osun, Bayelsa, Cross Rivers, Delta, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, Katsina, Taraba.
What about
they need to do something. Those are the 11 states that are yet to meet to submit the names of the frontline workers. But there is a technical issue that I don't know how the government wants to handle it. Because how are you going to get to areas like Borno and Yobe where communities are, in one crisis or the other? And that's why I think
reach the IDPs.
Yes, so that's why I think we need to get off this garrison mentality that everything has to be in Abuja. They can do a kind of regional distribution. There are 6 geopolitical zones. The ones for Southwest, bring them to Ibadan. The ones for Southeast, take to Enugu. The one from Kaduna, not to like that. So just don't keep everything in Abuja and start giving instructions. Because that is the unnecessary bureaucracy You know, everybody looking up for Abuja for the vaccine and all that. They should do a kind of decentralization in terms of distribution. Then how are they going to get to conflict areas? It's something that gives me a lot of concern. In Kaduna, in Yobe, in Borno. Yeah. So how are they going to? So they need to work out, you know, specific mechanism for that, so that those health workers in those areas, you know, will not be isolated, left out.
Well, I agree totally. I think we don't have the logistics really as a country to run this from the center, but we like the idea that we would like to concentrate everything we do into a port. Personally, I thought when they said it landed in Abuja, that the very next day should have been taken to the 6
geopolitical zones
at the same time. So because
all the ceremony, we had to receive the thing, Miss Funfair, we had to do the presidential thing, Funfair.
And people are reading speeches for something that in some other countries.
Okay, I have Taiwo. Okay, all right.
In some countries, the thing will just land and move to the plane and everything.
No events.
But Nigerians like
money.
We like authority. And that's what we do. But having said that, the moment the thing gets to the states, people should follow the paperwork. They should follow the trade. Don't assume that it cannot get to you.
Yeah.
Whatever they've lined up to be the parameters to use. If they say go online, please go online. If they ask you to do certain things, do certain things. Do not just assume it will not get to you.
We have Joseph. Joseph is calling us from Ikorodu in Lagos State. Thank you for joining us, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ayo. Good afternoon.
All right, go ahead with your contribution, please.
Yes, please. Talking about COVID-19, especially in Lagos State, I want to ask, are all the working in sites for COVID-19 testing in Lagos State still working? Is Lagos State actually paying, all of their staff that they work in all of those working in sites? Do they pay them? I have brothers working there. They've been working since last year. They don't pay them. They have less PPE. All of them need to run for their lives. Most of them have been infected with these viruses that they need to go isolate themselves in their houses, especially in the Lagos State Civil Service, Ministry of Health. All of these things are needed to be put in place for them to make a reasonable.
It's talking about people that you knew in the Lagos State Ministry of Health who don't have the equipment to protect themselves and how they to get the jab. Personally, I thought the moment that the vaccine was discovered, that the first thing Nigeria would do is to separate all this, health workers, old people. So by the time they come in, almost 90 days after the fact, we have enough data to move forward. But the fear is this, like we said earlier, we don't even know the figures some states will be getting. Is it going to be based on equality? Is it going to be based on population? Is it going to be based on population of old people? Or population of health workers?
Or our last population census, 2006.
So something, it must be based on something. That's the fear. We have 3 months that we've wasted, that we have done this. So the moment the thing landed, instead of wasting our time, that's in Pangolo at the airport, the thing will be moved quickly to those areas that they'll be useful. Even the number of people I saw when the president was being jabbed was funny, because it was supposed to be a very private thing for 2, 3, 4 people, and maybe one camera crew, and then give to other persons. But it was a jamboree, and I said the level of our seriousness when it comes to serious issues in the country is a reflection of that. So people should not worry. Like I said, no matter how bad the situation seems, please follow the protocol. If they say go online, go online. If you have somebody you know is qualified based on the definition they gave us themselves, cry out. If you have a 95-year-old woman at home or a 90-year-old man, that thing should be qualified to take the first jab. Get across to those that you know will do the right thing.
Before we move on, Sunday is calling us from Benin, in Edo State. Thank you for joining us.
God bless you.
All right.
Mr. Osinbajo, good evening.
Go ahead, please.
Please, I'm still contributing on this COVID-19. I'm from Delta State.
Okay.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm from Delta State, and I'm from the riverine area of Delta State. Now, during the last week or thereabout, when they did the inauguration of this, how they will be taking the vaccination, then you will go through electronic editing to fill form and all those things. But I want to make the Nigerian government understand that all those things they are reeling out in Abuja cannot work in the riverine areas of my state, Delta, especially the 3 local government areas, Brutu, Bomandi, and Patani. I mean, how do you want them to fill form? There is no light. This form. In my own suggestion, I would have said this the normal vaccination in those days when we were growing up during cholera. You go to schools, you go to public places, you go to villages, they line up and inject them. What is the point of filling form and all those things? So if it is that way they are going to do it, I assure you, people from the riverine area will not benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunday. I'm sure they know. Because if we can conduct population census, conduct election, and we can still cater for those people in the riverine areas, and there will be a modality because, as he said, they might not have access to the internet, they might not be online in these areas. And so,
we all know there will be environmental factors that will play a major part in this.
And we tend doing
there are states that are so wide that you need a journey of over 2 days to even get to the furthest parts. That's their own environmental challenge. And we have states that you need to cross rivers to get to where you have to. That's why I said that the moment this thing was discovered or approved back in December, is when all this will have been factored in. If I were to be in the government, this is the best time to even call in the people of ANEC. They will be the best thing to handle something of this nature. Because they have the experience and they go to every nook and cranny. I'll just hand it over to them since we are off season. That this is what is coming, the same way we move your materials. Move this as well. No, it's not for everybody, but at least to get to where we want them to go.
Finally on the show, undeterred and daring, the Boko Haram fighters continue to lay siege on Nigerians. The insurgents attacked a military checkpoint on the Maiduguri-Damaturu road, killing 3 soldiers. The attack and ensuing gun duel left several travelers stranded for hours on the highway. They went, these guys, I don't know, the way they recruit, the more you kill them, the more they recruit more Nigerians, and then they are well funded.
The new service chiefs came in with new strategy, new spirit, new determination, and we've seen records, of how were able to foil many Boko Haram attacks, and it's expected that Boko Haram will also like to prove that they are still there. They want to, look, changing of service chiefs means nothing to them. So I'm not surprised that in the past weeks we have seen a kind of upswing in escalation of violence or the Boko Haram activities. That road, Damaturu, to Maiduguri, has been a kind of axis of evil for years. Every time you see Boko Haram very, very active. And don't forget that Yobe and Borno State are their prime, epicenters of Boko Haram activities. So what happened recently, it's not surprising because that is one of their focal points, and quite unfortunate that we lost 3 soldiers again. And I believe that it's a challenge to the new service chief that, look, the game is not up, Boko Haram is still very active, and not just in Borno area, but also in the Lake Chad area, because the 3 factions operate in different areas of Borno and Yobe states. So we have not finished the game. Boko Haram is still very active, and the capacity is still there. The international network is still there, and the funding is still coming to them. So it's still a far away battle for us to win, and we need to sit up, we need to wake up and realize that Boko Haram is not there. Boko Haram is still alive.
The alternative means in which to fight this war and everything, a lot of people believe that government should step up its presence in those rural areas? Because some of these people, they are sympathetic to the Boko Haram people, and they give them money, they give them loans, they do a lot of things.
They serve as government, as an alternative government in those areas. Well, I thought that was worst. We created the Northeast Development Commission. You said this 5 years ago. Everybody agreed that the Northeast has been badly dealt with, both infrastructure-wise and in other areas. And then we created out of nothing the Northeast Development Agency. And we will have to include Kano, who fall in that purpose, are part of the Northwest. Well, that's just the politics of it. This is their job. They've been in existence for 3 years. By now, I expect a master plan, a roadmap, to show how you're going to do exactly what you asked for. Do you have a database for whatever is happening in data? Do you know the amount of villages that have been sacked? Do you know the number of people that have been displaced? Just recently, the governor discovered, I think, about 600 ghost IDP. And you and I know that about 3 years ago, there was a woman who was sacked, who was supposed to be giving them rice, was diverting the food somewhere else. Our greatest enemy in this country is ourselves. And this war will not be won unless we win the war of the mind. Because they always get, even those who are rehabilitated have gone back to join the Boko Haram. That means the system that they left is better than the one that we forced them to. So things are not working despite the answers that people have provided about alternative means. They have the budget, they have a percentage of the commission. They are supposed to have done more than this. But you and I know that 2-3 years down the line, the Northeast Development Commission has become another bureaucratic bottleneck just to make money. And that to me is because there's nothing else government can do apart from supporting the state governors who are available and using that as a tool in such a manner. So what we need to work on now is call into question those parameters we've laid down, and then let's them calculate what they've done and give us a report card. That's the ultimate.
What is there any nexus between Boko Haram and the bandits that we have ravaging the
Northwest?
I
think it's a very complex thing. We know there are 3 factions of Boko Haram. We have Mama No, who is a Cameroonian. We have Al-Banawi, who operates in the Lake Chad area. Then we have Shekrau, you know. So, and we are not sure if there is a networking between the 3 factions. But what is certain is that there has not been any conflict, any physical confrontation between them. From what the evidence we have, what we are seeing in the Northwest.
Because there's some kidnapping.
Yes, what we are seeing in the Northwest is an entirely different strain of terrorism. Because if you look at the history of this area, the Northwest, and the people that live there, you know, the indigenous people there, and then their geography, and then the way they operate, the terrorists in these areas, I think they are not Boko Haram. We don't know whether there's a collaboration between them. But what we see, like when Sheikh Gumi went to Zamfara, the report he brought to the table, these are just, he said they are fighting for survival, they are fighting for the survival of their own ethnic group, they are fighting ethnic war. So you could see that it's a different set of, you know, terrorist organization in the Northwest, which is different from what we have in the Northeast. So I think for now, Boko Haram is restricted to Northeast. Probably with, you know, pockets of activities maybe in Niger State. But what we see in Northwest, I think they are just a purely different group, which may not be unconnected with the cells that we see that are trying to come into the Southwest here. If you look at the route between Ogun State and Sokoto State, you know, and then the fact that they are, you know, they came to Ogun State, then Oyo State, it's the same border that links up with Sokoto, the Northwest. So I think we have a different strain of terrorism coming up in the Northwest, which is different from Boko Haram.
Okay, Case Andrew is calling us from Imo State. Thank you for joining us. Hello? Okay, we lost this. Now, one thing they have in common, they have access to sophisticated equipment due to our porous borders all around us.
Non-existent borders.
Yes. So they've been able to bring this in, and this is a big problem. Proliferation of arms around the country right now.
Well, without sounding repetitive, you and I know the reason why there are so many sophisticated weapons in the Sahel area since the fall of Libya. That's the fact. You also know that they've created a business in that place now for those who supply guns for hire. Basically, they have no religious or spiritual attachments. They are just common criminals who are willing to do whatever you want. They call them contractors, military contractors. Who are willing to do anything you want as long as you pay them, mostly in dollars. We also seen, based on what we've discovered so far in the Southwest, that some of the localized kidnapping are also being sponsored by because when you look at those who are caught as kidnappers, you cannot really put them into the same league with the money they said they've collected. You cannot see somebody who said I've made $1 billion in the last 4 years, and you look at his house, there's no difference of somebody who is still living on substances, basically. So I think what we have in the Northwest and now coming down south is basically a criminal enterprise who are not using religion as they are using ethnicity, fine, but they are not using religion as a tool. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, it's more of a religious element. Now using it as a form of criminality. In the South, in the Northwest, it's more of a ethnic thing being fueled by their criminality, when they realize the kind of money that they will make. And the thing is spreading all over. This government has not shown the resolve, basically, to isolate them in that manner.
Okay, I have this call from Benue State.
Tie everybody with the same brush.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayo.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Kesandu Kenkwa. I call from
Benue State.
Yes, you see, the issue of insecurity in this country vis-a-vis banditry and terrorism is becoming a huge embarrassment to every citizen of this country, especially to the leadership of this country. And I think it's high time we follow this whole thing squarely. I think we've not done so much. Look at the way we're losing our military men all over, every day, losing properties, losing money. I think what the Mr. President should do and the leadership of this country is, when you have a war with somebody, the first thing is to deny the person access to money and food. The question is, how is these people getting access to the food they eat that is sustaining them in the bush? How are they getting forced to buy these sophisticated weapons that we hear and see on the social media? I think this is something we must look into. And we can check. See, money cannot come to these people by Ghana Moscow bag. That means this thing is passing through our channel, the banking system. Something has to be done. We had the protest we had some time ago. Before we could say Jack CBN blocked some of our comrades' accounts. So if we can actually go into details, let us have intelligence gathering. Let us find a way to scrutinize some of these things from the CBN. Let us know how these people are being funded. Because if we can actually cut down their funding where they get food, then to a large extent they will be hungry and they will come out. Who get these people? And the question is, where is even these people?
Thank you, Kesandu. Thank you for your contribution. Now, we also have a situation here. We have IDPs around the Northeast, and we discovered that this is now another avenue to perpetrate fraud, despite the fact that it's not desirable that we should have IDPs that have been operating since 2009 till this time. Children are giving birth to children, they are growing up, children going to schools there, and people are kept, responsible for their welfare there daily. But Governor Babagana Zulum was said to have gone to pay a kind of unscheduled visit to that IDP, one of the IDPs, and it discovered that they had a shortfall of 650 people. Ghosts, refugees.
I commend the effort of the governor. If you see the zeal this man is putting to governance, everyone should be impressed. He went there 12 midnight,
surprise take stock.
Yes, surprise visit.
So 650
So for a governor
people
to take that kind of risk, in the face of Boko Haram and all that, I think I'm really inspired by what Zulum is doing in Borno State. I think it's somebody that detects corruption and it's somebody that
has given his life.
Yeah, so he went there and then discovered that normally one household is supposed to be made up of about 6 people. So 1,100 should be about 6,000 people. When they now went there, they discovered that close to half could not be accounted for. They will come there in the day to take all the goodies then, because they are not refugees. In the night, they will go back and sleep in their homes. So I really commend the effort of the governor. It shows that people, human beings can be callous. You know, in spite of, there are people that still want to feed on the mystery of other people. There are people that want Boko Haram to continue. Yeah. There are people that want millions to be in IDP camp. For what? Just for personal profit, which is quite unfortunate. So I really commend the effort of this governor. He has exposed what security institutions cannot expose. With all the intelligence, intelligence of SID, DMI, this governor just went there. Within few hours, he discovered a huge fraud. So I think I really commend him, and we want to see how this plays out. Who are those responsible? These refugees cannot act. They couldn't have acted on their own. There must be people in government who are collaborating with them. There must be security officials who allow them free access and then allow them to come in. So we want to see how those that are responsible will be arrested and punished.
GKB, they call them 650 ghost households.
Well, the reason why I'm not as optimistic as Wale is that if you remember a few years ago, the same IDP camps. Where I discovered that the food they were being fed were not up to the food that was taken out. Nobody answered for it till tomorrow.
Yeah.
There were no consequence for anybody. And I don't want to sound like somebody who doesn't believe in Nigeria, but nothing will come out of this as well. Nigeria is a country run and owned by the civil servants. The bureaucracy runs this country, and they will get away with anything. Don't forget, in this country, we've seen where state governors will tell you that people should line up to be paid. And the shortfall will be around 2,000 people.
Yeah.
A man will open 6, 7, 8 accounts, people earning salaries to come to his own pocket. This is what is exposed by the BVN. So until and unless we get to the point where we know there will be consequences, where somebody will be shamed and jailed for these acts, then I cannot be optimistic. It's just another diversion until the next one comes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Wale Adeoye.
Comrade.
Comrade Wale Adeoye, Jonah.
Thank you.
And Osiare GKB. Thank you for your contribution today. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program.